Caitlin Clark out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this season, nor if the Indiana Fever make the playoffs.
Caitlin Clark just slammed the brakes on the 2025 season, and the internet is melting down faster than ice cream on asphalt. One statement from her, and suddenly fans don't know whether to cheer, panic, or launch conspiracy threads about sponsorship deals and zodiac signs. This isn't the type of headline you casually scroll past. It's the kind that grabs you by the collar, rattles your brain, and yells, "Pay attention," because the entire landscape just flipped on its head.
Not surprising at this point, but still incredibly disappointing. Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media. The Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season.
So here we are, facing the gut punch possibility that Caitlin Clark's basketball story just slammed shut before it even hit its peak. The phenom who turned every arena into a spectacle, who pulled casual fans into women's hoops like moths to a flame, now sits on the sideline with a cloud of doubt hanging over her. And let's be real, the whispers are already swirling. Is this the end? Could a single injury wipe away the hype, the records, the must-see highlights, and reduce her legend to nothing more than the most heartbreaking what-if of this generation?
Released a statement saying this: "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the play."
If you want Caitlin Clark back in season, type CC come back in comments below and subscribe our channel. Let's be real, the sports world forgets faster than a TikTok trend. One day you're the face of basketball, the next you're a trivia answer fans drop while hyping the rookie of 2026 as the next big thing. Clark delivered one electric season, the kind that felt like the start of something historic, and now? She's staring at a medical chart that reads more like a cautionary tale than a comeback plan, while even her most loyal fans nervously Google athletes who never bounced back. It's brutal. Sports doesn't care how many jerseys you sold or how many kids plastered your name on their bedroom wall. Sports only cares if you can keep showing up.
The Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA. But the good news is her career is not over. But it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like.
Right now, Caitlin Clark isn't lacing up on the hardwood. She's stepping behind microphones, dropping statements that feel more like PR band-aids than battle cries. The energy isn't "see you stronger next season," it's "please keep my name alive while I disappear into the rehab abyss." The spotlight's dimming, and everyone feels it.
All right, so now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, "Hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement?" Like that, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in the air like a...
And of course, the trolls are eating this up like it's their Super Bowl. The same people who couldn't pick Caitlin Clark out of a lineup a year ago now think they're orthopedic surgeons, diagnosing her career from their couches. They're out here swearing she'll never dribble again, already branding her the Greg Oden of women's basketball before her second paycheck clears. Brutal? Yes. But that's the internet. If you're not dominating, you're content. Still, let's pump the brakes. Is this really the end of Clark's story, or just another dramatic chapter? Because in sports, the distance between comeback and collapse is razor thin. Some athletes heal like they're stitched together with springs, others crack under the weight of expectation, never the same again. And right now, nobody knows where Clark will land. She could bounce back and redefine greatness, or become the cautionary tale fans bring up in whispers, proof that hype isn't the same as longevity. The cruelty of it all is how quickly things flipped. Just months ago, she was dismantling defenses, racking up points like a human cheat code, and lighting up press conferences with the confidence of someone who looked like she'd solved basketball itself.
Well, there you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was one of the players.
Now, every update on Caitlin Clark's condition plays out like a primetime drama. Will she return? Will she still dominate? Has the magic run out? Find out next week. Fans aren't replaying highlights anymore, they're poring over medical jargon like it's game film. And those fans? Most are clinging to denial. They'll swear she's destined for a miracle comeback, like some bionic reboot waiting to happen. They'll flood timelines with inspirational quotes because it's easier than facing the possibility that her peak might already be behind her. The cold truth is that not every career ends with a farewell tour and standing ovations. Some just stop. And for every iconic comeback story, there are a dozen athletes who quietly faded into obscurity, remembered only as cautionary trivia. That's the fear here, Clark being recast as what could have been. The media isn't helping either. They're already churning out think pieces questioning whether she was overrated, a creation of hype, or proof that women's basketball can't support a true superstar the way the men's game does. It's lazy, it's reductive, and it's exhausting, but that's the machine. Build you up, tear you down, and sell every headline in between.
Caitlin Clark is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana Fever are focused.
You can't just be injured, you have to be a symbol of something bigger, something dramatic, something that looks good on a Charon. So now her knee isn't just her knee. It's the centerpiece of a debate about the future of the sport. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room, one season. That's all she got before the walls came crashing down. One magical run, one set of viral highlights, one season of being the chosen one. If that's the full resume, then what are we supposed to make of it? Was it greatness, or just a really entertaining fling with destiny? Sports history books aren't kind to short stories, they prefer sagas. Will she ever return to form? Will the injury turn her into a shadow of her old self? Could this be the end of the Caitlin Clark era before it even properly began? These are the questions fans can't stop asking, because the answers are just vague enough to keep them hooked. Here's the cruel twist though, if she never comes back, her legend might actually grow. Think about it, athletes who burn out early sometimes become mythologized. We remember what they could have been, not what they actually were.
This young lady finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're gonna have a meeting. Are you guys gonna let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's gonna be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first game we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped up.
Clark could end up as basketball's ultimate lost potential case, remembered not for what she accomplished but for what she never got the chance to. In a strange way, that might even cement her legacy more than a decade of simply being great ever could. Sports fans have always had a twisted fascination with tragedy. They worship champions, but they obsess over the legends that never were. Right now, that's where Caitlin Clark sits, no longer the unstoppable force, but the sport's most intriguing question mark. Her injury could turn out to be nothing more than a brief detour on the road to dominance, or it could be the period that ends the sentence far too early. Nobody knows which way it'll go. What we do know is that the world can't look away. The speculation, the debates, the conspiracies, it's chaos, and people are eating it up. And the darkest headline of all? What if she never comes back? That's the nightmare scenario bouncing around in group chats, barroom debates, and Twitter threads. The idea that the player who resurrected women's basketball could become its most famous what if. It's cruel irony, the sport's brightest gift dangled in front of us, only to be yanked away before anyone could truly savor it.
Well, here we are. The next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season. Something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged out as an organization.
1 minute she's the headline, the next she's the cautionary tale your coach brings up during practice when warning about overexposure. And let's not pretend the media isn't drooling over this angle. They love building stars just to tear them down. Caitlin Clark was the golden goose. She boosted ratings, sold jerseys, created viral moments. But now the narrative shifts to clickbait speculation. Suddenly, every talking head is debating whether her career is already finished. Forget rehab timelines, this is about drama, fear, and the potential collapse of an empire before it even got a chance to expand. It's brutal, but it's also fascinating. Because here's the thing about sports fans, they secretly live for this. They won't admit it, but watching a star struggle is its own kind of entertainment. Could this injury actually end her career? On paper, sure, it's possible. Plenty of athletes have been derailed before they even got rolling. Bodies aren't invincible, no matter how many hours you spend in the gym or how many protein shakes you drink. Some injuries just don't heal the way you want them to. And if Clark's body betrays her, then all that hype gets stuffed into a dusty trophy case labeled unrealized potential.
And to the disappointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the offseason is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy and take on the full season.
The unsettling truth is that Caitlin Clark's margin for error is paper thin. She doesn't have a decade of dominance to lean on. No shelf full of championships, no stack of MVP trophies, no endless highlight reels spanning years. What she has is one spectacular season. 1. A season where she looked untouchable, unstoppable, destined for greatness. If she can't expand on that, her career risks being condensed into a YouTube clip labeled ** Caitlin Clark's best plays, before the injury. **, and let's be real, nobody wants to be remembered as a playlist instead of a legacy. This is where the debate gets heated. Some insist that even if she never suits up again, her influence is already iconic. But the truth is, her resume feels half-finished, and right now, the construction crew just walked off the site. What makes it worse is how fast the sports machine moves on. While Clark rehabs, the league isn't pausing. New players will emerge, new stars will rise, and by the time she's ready, if she's ever ready, the spotlight might have shifted. Sports doesn't wait for anyone, not even its brightest star. The clock doesn't stop ticking just because one player is stuck in the trainer's room.
Seems like a conversation and a agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. And Amber Cox, the CEO and general manager for the Fever, has released a statement on Twitter X. And it has gotten quite the response from Caitlin Clark fans.
And that's the cruelest part of all. She could heal, return, and still find herself forgotten. The mental game might be even tougher than the physical one. Imagine being used to dominating every night, then suddenly having to watch from the sidelines as others steal your thunder. It eats at you. It makes you question everything. Will I ever be the same? Do people even care anymore? And worst of all, was my peak already behind me? Those questions creep into your head when the lights dim, and they're louder than any crowd could ever be. And then there's the pressure. Oh, the pressure. Imagine being told you're the face of the league, the savior of the sport, the one who's going to carry everything into the future. Then imagine blowing out your knee, or whatever the injury might be, and realizing the future might not even include you. That's not just a physical rehab, that's a mental demolition. And yet, somehow, everyone expects you to smile through it, release statements about staying positive, and act like your world isn't falling apart. The performance never stops, even when the game does.
The WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance would drop.
What's wild is how this single injury could rewrite Caitlin Clark's entire story. If she bounces back and takes over again, she's not just a star, she's a legend. The comeback queen. The athlete who stared down adversity and refused to fold. But if she doesn't? Then she becomes the tragic cautionary tale, the phenom who had everything and lost it before she could fully cash in. And in that way, Clark's story might echo louder than if she had just gone on to have a long, normal, successful career. So yes, it's possible this is the end. It's possible Caitlin Clark's career is already over before it truly began. It's possible that we'll look back at her one shining season and think, that was it. It's a harsh reality, but it's also the kind of reality sports specializes in.
For those that don't know, Caitlin Clark recently put out a statement basically saying that she is out for the remainder of the season. Sad news for the basketball world. Avid WNBA fans know that Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for weeks. actually months due to her growing injury. Has been putting a lot of work in, rehabbing, trying to get back onto the court. And some people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs, because right now the Fever sit at the 8th spot. Not sure if they'll be able to keep the 8th spot and get into the playoffs, but a lot of people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs. I'm personally glad that the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark decided to just rest her for the rest of the season and just shut it down.
One moment you're untouchable, the next you're breakable. That's the brutal beauty of sports. Nobody, not even the star herself, knows how the story will end. Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Is this truly the end of Caitlin Clark's rise, or just the most dramatic halftime pause in recent memory? She's not just missing a few games, she's dangling her entire future like a season finale cliffhanger. It's what version of Caitlin Clark we'll see if she does. Will it be the comeback queen rewriting her own myth, or the haunting shadow of a career cut short? Either way, the world won't stop watching. If you enjoyed leaving a like and subscribing, more videos are on the screen now.